That's what it. I just started my live feed just now, trying to get all the camera angles and everything right. You know how it is, Robbie. I'm messing around, redoing the Lab 3.0, and I got a little fancy without doing tests, so things are a little off if you're watching my feed. So just bear with me. I'm fixing it on the go. You know how we do live. We own the studio, we own the right, so we can do pretty much whatever the hell we want.
Was a speedster, correct? We had track and field success, and with that,
all right, well,
the
Charlie and Andy, I'll let you guys go.
In the class of 22.
And when you watch him, it's obvious that he's got great physical talent, very athletic, very accurate with the football, but what I love most, he plays with such urgency. You can almost feel like he wants to go to his competitiveness and feel for the game.
Will Shipley.
All right.
Taken down by
Appreciate
Amari
y'all
Thomas.
as always.
Shipley, the sophomore from Weddington, North Carolina.
Yeah. So the Devils are up 2-0 over the Rangers, and we'll be talking about that game. I'm just pulling up the live
And
score.
Hooker talking things over with Joe Milton. And Shipley splits out here on 2nd and 6.
And there we go. And then
Klubnik, first start, first pass, and
I'm doing pretty damn good, Robbie. It's a great time of year. All the sports is going on. We had the draft this past weekend. We got NHL playoffs. We got NBA playoffs. We got baseball. It's a beautiful time of year, and a lot of transition going on. Also, I like to announce, if you've been checking out, I posted a couple days ago, Wednesday we'll be doing our annual Commanders off-season special, but just reached out to the head coach of the XFL North.
Carol,
Before
you do that part, I do want to get that part on the live podcast. So hold on,
You haven't started. Okay, go ahead and start it live.
I was just talking to
You know me. I done already put out a couple of promos already, so you know me.
Back to the sideline.
I'm sure.
From his red shirt, but he was just too good to keep off the field. He high points it beautifully against cover 2 and reels it in.
33
Coming in and out.
reception for a
Yeah, I'm
first
still over
down.
here adjusting some things, so give me a second. Bear with me. I gotta change some settings on some stuff because I had to go back to the old school
Who the impact
webcam.
players are going to be for Clemson's offense. It's
So
Will
bear
Shipley,
with
running
me.
back, just outstanding. And now Antonio Williams, the freshman, he's got
do the
so
right
much
one.
juice.
So
And
we're
then
gonna talk about
defensively,
the,
Beasley, we've already heard from him. He's got to play big with Jeremy Banks not being available. And Byron Young, the edge rusher, is going to be putting pressure on the freshman all night long.
You want me to start with that for the audio podcast?
Yeah, you can go ahead and start
Play
up.
action gets it quickly to the outside to Ngata.
Quick second. Now I
Ngata
gotta
who
do
has
the
struggled with
reshare,
injuries in his career.
which
He's
sucks.
been thought of as having huge upside. Comes up with a 14-yard reception. And another first down for the Tigers.
Really nice anticipation right there from Cade Klubnik. Threw it before the receiver
right.
got out of his break, and it was an easy
We're gonna try this again. It's been a rough start to the show on my end. My apologies. You know how we normally do. It's normally seamless transitions, but we doing new things.
He's able to have
Things
Harrison
happen. But
hit
you
it
know
up.
how we
Roman
roll.
Harrison with the tackle.
All right, and we are live.
This Tennessee
on Facebook.
defense
So
is
welcome, everybody.
very underrated. They've done a pretty good
got
job being
Carol,
disruptive.
myself,
They're very
and
active
Sanford
at the line of
live
scrimmage. They
here,
force a lot of negative
Sports
plays
on the Hill podcast,
and get you off
episode,
schedule, but
number
they are a little bit vulnerable in the
308.
secondary.
And we got Carol live on
They've been
Facebook.
thinned out
I have
there.
been doing a live
Injuries have
Twitch,
gotten the best of them.
show for
Second
the last
11, they
hour
go
doing an art
underneath
show.
with
It's a
Williams
stream show.
as they counter
So
Antonio
the first
Williams
hour of
on
that,
the
so
ground.
Go back and check out those odds on our
They'll be
YouTube.
third
But
down
we've got a
and
super
about
exciting show.
5
Carol,
after that.
let people know what we'll be talking about tonight.
Well, tonight, as always, we're bringing you all the best of the sports around. We got all 4 major sports we're going to be covering. First, we're going to start off with, of course, the 2023 NFL Draft and the Commanders draft picks. Then we're going to get into some defenders talk. Then we're going to talk about the unfortunate sports that our teams are no longer or weren't in the play in the NHL and NBA playoffs. They have been exciting. I must admit, I've been watching some NBA You know, I'm watching my Golden State Warriors. I'm an undercover Warriors fan, but I've been following them. They had a great Game 7. I'm definitely going to chime in on some of the NBA talk with you guys because I've actually been checking out along with the NHL playoffs. We have a Game 7 going on right now that Robbie already updated you on. I'm about to turn that on in lab shortly. And then, as I was saying, on Wednesday, we have our Commanders off-season special coming to you at a special time at 4 o'clock. And we have a special guest interview on the show. We have the XFL North champion, XFL Defenders Coach Reggie Barlow calling in, doing a live Zoom interview at 4 o'clock on Wednesday. So be sure to tune in. If you have any questions you want me to ask, feel free to put them in the comments, inbox me. I'll get them out there for all the Defender fans just tuning in. If you want to see it later on, I'm definitely chop the video and put it into the groups. But be sure to tune in Wednesday. I'm going to be getting my questions and everything together tomorrow. So any questions you guys want to have for the coach about the team, upcoming game, XFL, anything, feel free to hit me up. You know, I get the questions out there and I get them answered for you. So we got a great show today. We got another great show lined up on Wednesday.
Yeah, you got it. Boom. Let's go.
If you haven't noticed, I'm back, people. CP3 is officially back on Sports on the Hill every Monday night. So, yes, it was a seven-month hiatus that was very painful, but it had to be done. Moves had to be made, and the moves have been made. So, CP3 is officially back on Sports on the Hill podcast every Monday night, coming to you live from the lab.
If you really look at what's outside, BT Potter might hit his head on the goalpost if he gets it.
Yes, sir.
So much to break down. I'm so happy you get the interview with the head coach. Yeah, the week after we won the North, and so
So Tennessee back out there. As they go inside and shaking free is McCoy. Brew McCoy, as you hear the Tennessee faithful raining down the Brew chant from here in Miami.
And
he needs to be big. He needs to be big tonight in the absence of Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman.
So we're going to include the
McCoy
defenders and the
the
Valor.
most accomplished wide receiver coming back that plays the outside. Squirrel White is terrific in the slot. Brew's got to be big on the perimeter.
No, I got a little lag going on over here. I lost your audio for a minute. I don't know if it's residual from my mishap before or just a little disconnect. But we still good to go. Still good to go. My audio was just fading.
Star a year ago. He was injured this year. He's
Good.
into the NFL process.
Yeah, it's, I'm so excited. Hopefully we'll get to update this merch. I'm so good for your one-on-one.
Who was slow to get up.
Carol's done these great
You
one-on-one
mentioned
interviews.
Jalen Hyatt, the unanimous first-team All-America. He opted out as well. We'll take a break.
Some of my favorite ones.
The training staff is out on the field.
Interviews. And is Dujanet going to be in there with you, or are you going to interview the coach by yourself first and then bring Dujanet in after?
It will be a Dujanet and CP3 dual interview with the coach.
Out on the field, so I'm out there with his son.
Nice, awesome. That is
out there
exciting.
before the players, man.
So we got our two greatest football minds of the podcast in there.
Was slow to get up after that
asking the
last
questions.
play.
It'll be interesting. I'll
So
actually
Jeremiah
have
Crawford
landed
comes in
in
to
Texas
replace him.
when
He
you were
has split
guys
time at left tackle this year.
live, but I know you guys are going to hit it out of the park.
Second
Anybody
and
that
6,
wants to know where they can listen to it, you can always check it out on
Gets it to the
Carol's Facebook
outside,
page.
and
It'll
it's
be on his
complete again
YouTube
to Brew
channel as
McCoy,
well.
the transfer from USC.
And then on top of all of that,
Nice
I'm
route
sure
there
we'll
and
flip
good
it up and
timing.
put it
Just
as a
barely
bonus
getting it
episode
off
on our
before
audio podcast.
Brian Brzee
And I'll
delivered a
definitely
hit.
put the video and the audio podcast on our website.
First down pass
if
for
not,
Milton
yeah,
as he
along
tries
the
to
way,
keep it
we'll
alive
bring
and
it
struggles to
back.
get back to the line of scrimmage as a flag is down.
So excited
in the middle of
about
that
this
offensive line.
interview. The defender, and I'm excited about some of the draft stuff that you'll be breaking down with Dujanet, and we'll talk a little bit about tonight. There's so much good news. The Nats actually had a halfway decent week, which is cool.
Still tonight.
Chicago. The game. I was going to get the notes for it until everything went haywire. But yeah, they took a loss 5-1 tonight. But it was a good week, 500 week. They played well. Could have played better and won the week, but unfortunately They came up short, but they won. They went 500, which, you know, the way they've been playing lately, that's a positive.
As wide in this past set,
yeah, that's
because
progress.
twice now.
And
The
then,
speed of Clemson's defense has been a problem.
Playoffs in both the NHL and the NBA have been
The starting right
amazing.
guard
And,
is walking off the field now.
You know, it sucks that the Caps aren't in it. It sucks the Wizards aren't in it. But it's allowed me to watch them with fresh eyes and not be like emotionally invested in a team, but just watch all the games. There's been some really exciting matchups.
Comes in.
So I look forward to at the end of the show
78.
breaking some of that down. But we've talked about a lot of stuff, but we haven't actually gotten into the meat of it. The
First and
Defenders
20 after the penalty.
Super exciting game. I'm going to break down the scoring super fast from this
As he
one.
goes
Well, hold on. We were going to do the Commanders draft picks real quick, right? Before we get into the
Oh,
Panthers.
right. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Usually we were
17-yard
doing Defenders first.
reception.
I'm sorry.
No problem. You know, we always changing up on the fly. You know, that was a quick before the show edit on my part, so it's all good. I figured we'd go ahead and get the tried and true what most folks are probably tuning in for right now. The Commanders draft. You know, a lot of folks are upset. A lot of folks are happy. I'm happy. You know, I'm not one of those folks that's, you know, looking for a big name and splash moves and yada, yada, yada. I look at the needs. I look at the way they drafted, what positions they drafted, heavy on defense again, which some folks are complaining about, but they still addressed the offensive line, which they had in free agency, which the linemen that they signed all under the age of 29 and all can flex at different positions. The players that they drafted can flex at different positions. The defense that they drafted fills holes that needed to be filled, even though some fans thought it should be a first or a second round pick for those positions. They believe in their process. The way that I see this draft, they're locking up the defense to try to solve some of the issues that we saw last year. One of the main issues was turnovers. They had 9 interceptions as a defense as a whole through 17 games. That's not winning formula when you have a front four like this team has. So they go out and address that by getting more defensive backs that can make things happen on the back end, along with the linebackers and offensive line. So they addressed all the issues that need to be addressed. Now, I say that to say this was the first round pick.
And that was clogged up.
Cornerback Emmanuel Forbes Jr. out of Mississippi State, 6'1". Now he's a $180. Everybody was making a big deal about his weight at the combine at 166 pounds, saying he's too small, he's not going to be able to play the run. He's already put on, 14 pounds of muscle since February. So he's young, he's going to grow, he's still growing.
Runs to the near side.
All you got to do is eat. Go hit the carry out, get some chicken and mumbo, and some fries a couple of times a week. He'll be all right. And if you remember, the guy named Darryl Green, 5'8", $165, one of the most aggressive corners against the run. If you go watch the tape with this kid, he's the same way. Because I went and watched the tape. And he has no problem sticking his nose in there on the running back and getting a tackle and being physical. So all of the folks that's, talking about his size and they should have drafted somebody else, I'm not even going to get into all of that. But it's a solid pick. A lot of the experts said it was a good pick. Some didn't, but we know how that goes. Second round pick. This was kind of a surprise to me. I wasn't expecting him to go defensive back. Two rounds in a row, but they drafted, let me make sure I get this young man's name right. Jatavius Martin, cornerback / safety out of Illinois, 5'11", 194. From the tape I looked at, he's a solid tackler. Very aggressive against the run, but he also has the speed to play outside and the recovery speed. And he's long. That's the one thing about all of the draft picks on defense. They got long, lanky guys that, can deflect passes and hopefully cause turnovers. Third round pick, is a center/guard. Ricky Stromberg out of Arkansas, 6'3", 306 pounds. This young man played every position, started every position on the interior line, left guard, center, and right guard. So for the folks that was talking about offensive line, he was a four-year starter, solid. So, yes, they addressed the offensive line with youth and flexibility in the interior line where we had issues at last year. Due to injury, not because of talent. And I want to address that also. The year before, the offensive line was rated 6th in the league. Last year, the injury bug rattled and killed our offensive line. That is why the offensive line looked like it did. That is why, along with bad offensive play calling, the offense looked like it did. With a healthy offensive line, a quality play caller, this offense has enough talent to put fear in a lot of teams. So that O-line needs to be totally revamped. They suck. Everybody needs to get fired. Pump your brakes on. 4th round pick. They went offensive line again. Offensive tackle. Braden Daniels out of Utah. 6'4", 294 pounds. In 4 years, he only gave up five total sacks. So if that's not a quality tackle, I don't know what it is. Even though he's a 4th round pick, he can still be a quality starter. Doesn't matter what round you drafted in. It matters how you go out there and play and develop and be a professional. That's what it's all about. 5th round pick. They actually traded the second 6th round pick that they had to move up to draft this young man out of Clemson. Defensive end / outside linebacker KJ Henry. He's also 6'4", 294 pounds. So the offensive tackle that they just drafted and the outside linebacker are the same height and weight. I thought that was kind of ironic. This young man has the burst on the outside. He has some technical and fundamental things he's definitely going to work on. His hand placement. He depends on his athleticism, which he's going to learn in the NFL. All tackles know how to deal with outside linebackers as athletes. You have to have technique and skill, and he's going to learn those things and develop, especially with the likes of Brian Kerrigan on the coaching staff and Montez Sweat and Chase Young to learn from, along with the other defensive specialists that we have. 6th round pick. They went running back with Chris Rodriguez Jr. out of Kentucky, 6 foot, 217 pounds. After watching the tape on him, he pretty much is Brian Robinson 2.0. Downhill runner, hard to bring down, runs angry. The intangible with him, he is 3rd down pass protection specialist. He's great at blitz pickup. And that is one thing that we had issues with because they were sending the house on 3rd down. And when your running back doesn't know which gap to cover or which man to take to give his quarterback enough time, that can lead to bad things happening. So when you have a running back coming into the league that's already proficient at that, it just makes him even more invaluable to the team. So a lot of folks are asking, why did they draft a running back with the already crowded running back room with Gibson, Robinson, Patterson, Williams? You can never have too many running backs. It's not like he was a 1st round pick, 6th round pick. He's also a 6th round pick, a guy by the name of Terrell Davis, who went back-to-back Super Bowls.
Building your online business?
That helped Denver get to those Super Bowls and win.
Go to Wix.com and set up your store on a single integrated platform.
Doesn't matter what round you drafted in. It depends on how much fight you got, skill, and being able to develop as a player.
Products.
And the last pick,
showcase them dynamically
for the Commanders,
and seamlessly track your inventory. Accept multiple secure payments and design your storefront down to the very last detail. Get all the tools you need. Drive more sales with customizable gift cards and flexible product subscriptions. Retain customers with a point-based loyalty program, email automations, and reach millions with sales channel integrations. Complete your setup with a personalized analytics dashboard. Make smart business decisions and shape the next phase of your business. Build, manage, and grow from one place. Go to Wix and launch your online business today.
And I give them a B- in their draft. I know some folks been, dogging and give them C's and B's. I seen some give them, B plus, A-. So that's my take on the Commanders draft. Robbie, what do you say?
He's been able to play freer and faster, which ultimately just allows you to enjoy what you're doing. And he's certainly enjoying himself thus far tonight.
I'd enjoy that last drive.
Look at those numbers on the last drive.
The touchdown pass was just a thing of beauty.
I'm super high on some people out of college, and they never pan out.
Spins away from Shipley and comes back the other way to Davis Allen. Well-executed play by Cade Klubnik and Clemson.
I do think they did a good job on shoring up our defense.
Eyes to the left, eyes back to the right, eyes to the middle. Everybody and their brothers running this play right now because Brock Purdy threw a touchdown on it a couple weeks ago, and it's so effective. You fake the screen to the left, you fake it back to the right, you sneak the tight end up the middle.
Allen goes for 11 yards there. Shipley motions pass.
He's got a year to prove that this is his position to keep.
He throws back shoulder as he's able to connect with Joseph Ngata.
We still don't know how we're going to enter the season.
See Brandon Streeter, the offensive coordinator.
So there's just so many
working with a very talented
beyond the draft that
freshman class. Obviously, so much will be made of Klubnik, but I'll tell you what, Cole Turner and Antonio Williams,
and I hope
they're
that
going to
you're
light some people up for quite a while here at Clemson.
Streeter's first year as the play caller. Tony Elliott left to become the head coach at UVA.
No, they actually got rid of. I was actually reading an article. I can't remember the guy's name. They got rid of the offensive line coach, who was one of the top guys. Coach Rivera said he wanted offensive coordinator pick his staff, so he decided to promote the assistant under the previous offensive line coach. I can't remember his name. I read the article yesterday in passing, but yeah, the assistant has been promoted to the offensive line coach.
But you see that left arm of McCullough
clearly
kind of drag Ngata down.
I have no idea what that
Pretty
means.
well thrown football, just giving your guy a chance.
I'm hoping that it is.
Tough on the defense there, that's for sure, but a great call by the official.
I kind of
15-yard penalty puts the ball at the Tennessee 37.
The team in the front office, I've definitely seen a turnaround in
Moffa with the carry. He's the big 230. He came out with Shipley in the backfield. Goes ahead for 2 yards.
I think Moffa, obviously, more of a downhill guy. Shipley, a little more versatile, really a three-down back in today's football. Moffa, more your traditional first and second down back. And obviously a guy that's going to excel in short yardage and at the goal line.
As the series has gone on, the home teams are now showing up in the final games.
Tamarian McDonald
the Raiders winning the last one.
Plays that star position for Tennessee, who the trainers are out to see. We'll take a
it's
quick
hard to
break
know
as
what's
they
going to
tend
happen
to him.
with this team.
Out to me in the ACC championship game, I noticed I was like, is he finding the laces? And that's exactly what he does. You talk to Brandon Streeter. He said he is very comfortable throwing the ball without the laces. Most quarterbacks, they get plenty of time. In quick game, yes, you have to throw the ball without the laces from time to time. But when you have time, most quarterbacks want to catch and find the laces. But he was trained by one of the best high school coaches in America in Todd Dodge. And Cade Klubnik doesn't ever find him, just throws it how he catches it, and that creates a lot of consistency when he delivers the football.
Second and 8.
And now
he's going to run it.
Like we have
and he is wrapped up
and
taken down by Tyler Barron.
Very
So he was coached by Todd Dodge
DBs
at Westlake,
coming in
Austin
here.
Westlake, power
Our
partner.
first round pick
Prior to
for
that, I believe Todd
the
Dodge
FBS
was
record
somewhere
for
else.
most pick sixes in a
Todd
career.
Dodge
Think about that.
Westlake, of course, and
He was your high school.
There have been a lot of great
corners
that have come out of college that are Hall of Famers who don't have that many pick sixes in a career. This kid does.
2007 state championship. So
And Karen said it earlier.
They're losing their mind right now.
Everybody
Remember,
talks
the
about
Dragons
how
reign
undersized
supreme.
he was. Daryl Green was undersized as DB. Guess what? He's a Hall of Famer. Hello? Like, so this undersized BS, like, get that out of your mind. Because Daryl Green was undersized and he's a freaking Hall of Famer. So, I mean, I'm happy with what this team did in the draft. They got the DBs that they wanted. They got the old line that they wanted to be able to bring a youthful approach to the offensive line. You're going to have a second-year quarterback possibly back there starting at QB1 at Sam Howell. So you definitely need a young, exuberant, vibrant, and athletic offensive line to protect them. You already have the pieces in place offensively at the skill position. So, I mean, I really feel like with the coaching staff that they have, Eric Bieniemy's here, so the offense should be a lot better in terms of play calling. Defensively, they should be able to eliminate a lot of those big plays that really cost them a lot of games last season. And I think that this team can make a pretty good turnaround. Are they a playoff team? It's hard to say. I don't want to sit here. Yes, I'm a fan. I'm a longtime fan. I can easily sit here and say, oh, they're a playoff team right now. I can't say that. All I can say is that I'm very excited. This is the first season in a long time after the draft that I'm very excited to see what this team's going to look like come week one when they go out and hit the field. I want to see what these kids can do, especially those two DBs when training camp comes around and the preseason. But I can't wait to see how they develop and then what they could do when it comes down to when the games start to count. So to sum up everything I just said, and I'm going to repeat what I just said at the start.
Just got an online offer on my car from CarMax. It's 100% real. I'm good for 7 days.
Cool.
It's probably because I just won my 4th championship.
Well, I'm getting an online offer on my car, too.
Yeah, I see they signed 13 undrafted free agents. I'll be checking them out. And then I'll give more extensive, we'll give more extensive details on Wednesday with BJ, our NCAA specialists covering the SEC. And, we'll break those players down along with having a great conversation with Coach Barlow of the DC Defenders, the head coach, that is. We'll be talking with him on Wednesday before we talk Washington Commanders. I'll use that as a segue to switch my graphics to DC Defenders.
But does he have the accuracy?
Which
it is off to the right.
DC Defenders, who defended home turf in the playoff game for the XFL North Division Championship, where they defeated the defeated the Seattle Sea Dragons 37-21 in front of another sold-out crowd at Audi Field. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there, but Lady Antoinette of At the Bar Radio, she was there, had some great pictures. On her page, she was actually on the field for the game. Got some good pictures with the coach and Jim Haslett, the coach of Seattle, who used to be a Commanders coach also. So it was I wish I could have been there. It was raining, but the rain let up, and it turned out to be a beautiful day and a beautiful game and a beautiful victory for the Defenders. Just to quickly run on over the stats real quick. Jordan Teamu had an okay day.
Jabari Small,
yo.
Before you go through the stats, can I go through the scoring order?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go through the score.
Jalen right
now. Oh, wow.
As he tries to get to the outside around Woodhouse.
Davies eating a sandwich. I really appreciate all the people for joining in. It's got 30 person rate. So welcome on in, Davey and Drew. He was interviewing EBX Aaron, who is a huge fan of
so far.
Tonight, so I know that, in fact, Davey, I was actually photoshopping some art with you and Aaron. Originally, was going to have you and Aaron in the end. I decided to put me and you in together for nowhere.
Wade Woodhouse, just his second career start with the tackle.
Thank you so much, Davey, and thank you for the cheer as well. So I really appreciate
and they've been going
that.
with
Congratulations.
Mostly zone coverage.
We're just going through some XFL
here early on. This time you see the guy running with the motion guy. That tells you man coverage. So they made a slight adjustment right there and brought a little weak side pressure. And they were able to drop the back in the backfield. Just an excellent call there by Wes Goodwin.
Bought out originally
Paxton Brooks, starting punter for his 4th straight season for the Vols.
And it came back in 2020. As he launches away,
Williams back on the return, calls for the fair catch just around the 20-yard line.
Kind of failed a little bit due to COVID. They had to kind of they sold it off, and they took a couple of years off, and then DC was the best team all regular season
ESPN,
long,
it'll be the All-State Sugar Bowl.
Win a very important playoff game, which is breaking down right now, and able to make the championship game.
We got a touchdown, just how close they were. I expect them to play well tomorrow morning.
But it failed two-point conversion to give a 9-3 lead in the first quarter. In the second second quarter, there was a 15-yard touchdown by Ben
Trying to wrap around the backwards and got it. Of course, that's going to bring out the flag as
9-9 halftime.
Tried to
We
have
got a
coverage with
1-yard
him.
touchdown run in the third quarter for Washington. The 2-point pass conversion failed once again to go 15-9. We got another touchdown just about 5 minutes later at 4:49 left in the third quarter. Ethan Wolf got a 26-yard pass.
It's now 5 penalties for 55 yards on Tennessee.
Good.
Unbelievable release there by Ngata, just right around, little swim, right around.
Run, and we got a run for a 1-point conversion. They'll go up 29-9.
Underthrown deep ball is going to
they got
draw
a
the flag most of the time.
touchdown pass from Ben DiNucci. So
Maffa on the short pitch.
Did fail on their 2-point
Able to
conversion.
keep his
30,
balance, and
15,
again,
and then
making the most of it is Phil Maffa.
11-yard touchdown run by Cameron Harris.
Beasley finally.
I'm telling you, man, the more you watch Phil Maffa, the more you kind of start to fall in love with him. I mean, it's easy to love Shipley with how many different ways you can use him and how he can be in the slot, he can be an effective contributor in the passing game. But I'm telling you, man, Maffa is a tough.
First down. DC ends up winning 37-21. They hit on the over. They win every home game. And Cameron Harris wasn't even in the league 2 weeks ago, and here he is scoring some big-time touchdowns in a playoff game. Carol, now you can break down all of the cool stats that you have.
Well, first of all, I just realized that I had audio going from my other page, and for the last 40 minutes, they've been listening to something else on my feed. So I apologize. I just realized that when I check out the audio on my feed. So hopefully it all wasn't wiped out, but I know the last couple of minutes was. Getting back to the game and the task at hand, this has been a crazy episode. Jordan Teamu, 19 for 31, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Abrams, 2.1 yard average with a touch. Cameron Harris, 5 carries, 25 yards, 2 touchdowns. Lucky Jackson, 2 catches, 56 yards with a touch. Ethan Wolf, 1 catch, 26 yards with a touchdown. And Chris Blair, the spark plug to these. To the offense, 5 catches, 51 yards with a 10-yard average, no touchdowns. First downs, DC had 29, Seattle had 17 passing. DC had 259 yards 99 yards passing, and Seattle had 278. DC had 82 yards rushing, and they held Seattle to 13 yards rushing. I believe they only had like maybe 3 or 4 attempts. They came out with the pass mentality with a wet, rainy field and a wet ball. And in the first half, you saw a lot of drops. Second half, you saw drops also. They didn't adapt to the weather, and it definitely showed in the score in the second half. Total yards, 381 for DC, 251 for Seattle. Penalties, Seattle 13 for 125, DC 3 for 25. Now, the 3 previous weeks, DC had a double-digit amount of penalties, and it's good to see them cut that down because that definitely made their games more difficult than they had to be with all the unnecessary penalties that they were getting called. Some justified and some, I'll leave that alone. Time of possession, DC had the ball for 32 minutes, 38 seconds. Seattle had the ball for 27 minutes and 22 seconds. And third down conversions, DC went 7 for 13, and Seattle went 6 for 12. This was a very, very entertaining game. First half was back and forth. There was a couple of interceptions by Jordan that I felt kept Seattle in the game and made it a tie game going in a half. But it was good to see the adjustments made by the defenders and the effectiveness of their offense and the determination and hungry tenacity that the defense showed. Game before, you saw Greg Williams dedicated the game to, I should have wrote his name down, I can't. Robbie, you probably, I don't know if you know, but he was the play-by-play guy for the Cardinals. It was his father-in-law that passed away. I forgot his name. They did a tribute. I was watching last night, and his name, I don't want to get the wrong name, but he passed away, and he dedicated the game to him, and they definitely came out effective. Like I said, they didn't be over-aggressive and getting penalties. They didn't get any turnovers for the second week in a row, which is unlike this defense because they've been forcing turnovers. But also, Michael Joseph went out in the second quarter with out for most of the game. Their interception leader will be back for the championship game in 2 weeks. And the final thing I'll say is the special teams, which has been the one deficit on this team, giving up long returns, showed up and showed out. Got to give a big shout out to Pookie Williams Jr. for 2 explosive kickoff returns and a nice punt return also to flip the field position and maintain momentum for the defenders when Seattle was fighting, trying to claw back in this game and trying to get a lead in this game bigger than the 3 points that they had to start. So it was a great win for the defenders. It was a great 60 minutes of football. I didn't see any let up, any give up. They was focused and ready to win and ready to play. And they'll be going up against Arlington, who they defeated once already this season. Hopefully they better do it again. Reboot the computer. That's probably what I should have did.
It's okay. I actually think it seems like a Wi-Fi issue. It's almost like it coming in and out. But I think we may have caught up to you now. But yeah, I mean, I'm so excited that you're going to have the coach on Wednesday. For anyone that's just tuning in with us, we're actually having the head coach of the DC Defenders joining us on Carol's feed. If you go to sportsothb.com and click on the socials button, you can also click on the YouTube link on sportsothb.com, and you get on Carol's YouTube feed or click socials and see it on his channel. It should be a really great interview that he has with Duchesne. But yeah, no, I mean, we caught most of what you were saying. It was just breaking up a little bit at the end. I'm really, really happy that they were able to have such a dominant performance. The same team 3 times in a row. I just want to get Champ's thoughts real quickly.
This game to me felt like a tale of 2 halves. The first half, you had 4 drives, and you only scored on 2 of them. They were both in the first quarter. Before the second quarter, you dealt with 2 drives that ended with deflections that turned into interceptions, including on the second one, that was a really crazy circus catch by the defensive back after a 16-play drive that went 73 yards. And you almost felt like, okay, maybe Seattle might have figured something out and be able to do something with the save. But then you go into the second half, and then you get to see the defenders team that won 9 of 10 games throughout the regular season. They scored on every drive in the second half except for one, which was a 3-and-out in the midway point of the fourth quarter. But by then, they have really started to turn up the heat and really start to run away with this game. Te'amu, to his credit, despite the fact that a lot of those interceptions were tips, still played pretty well with 258 and 2. The run game wasn't as effective as it has been all season, but it was still very much a good part of the offense to lead to this team have 81 total yards offensively. And I think the other storyline in this game was Seattle's collapse. After they were down by so much late in the fourth quarter, they started getting really bad penalties. That combination of roughing the passer and unsportsmanlike conduct on the one play where they hit Te'amu very late, like they hit Te'amu like late, like homie the ball was already out. He took 2 steps and still got knocked on his rear end. And then the guy had the nerve to kick the flag after it was thrown. That led to them giving up a lot of yardage to lead to a touchdown. So that right there showed like they were just not Seattle, even though they seemed like they weren't ready. When it came down to it, they weren't as ready as they were. And DC showed that they were definitely ready. Reggie Barlow had this team ready. Greg Williams playing with a heavy heart, had that defense ready. Ben DiNucci, which I said in our group chat, Ben DiNucci still cannot beat a football team from DC. He couldn't beat the Commanders when he was with the Cowboys, and he couldn't beat the Defenders with Seattle. DiNucci is forever cursed playing a team from DC. But either way, a huge win, and now DC is only 1 game away from celebrating a championship for the first time, a major championship for the first time since 2019 in the Nationals. And it's a very, very exciting time for DC sports to, have this opportunity. But it's still 1 more game. They still got to go and do their work. Arlington, even though their record doesn't reflect it, Arlington has been red hot towards the tail end of the season, and they upset the second best team in the XFL in Houston. So clearly, Arlington is a team that they definitely have to not take lightly, and they definitely have to really bring the pain.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It was a tough matchup the first time. I'm so bummed that it's being played in San Antonio next weekend, not this weekend, because I'm going to San Antonio this weekend and I'm right there. But just a slightly missed opportunity. But I'm so excited for the team to go down there. I hope they find a way to make it so they can have plastic cups, because the first time that they played in that arena, it was cans only. And we got to find a way to make this beer snake happen. And I also feel bad because we had a guy who would champion the beer snake and get it started, and everyone knew where to put it, and it was a whole thing. It's like, where did they start it? What did they do? How does this get going? But the beer snake and the lemons are so iconic part of this season for the Defenders. I hope they're able to find a way to make it happen. People were talking about they need to bring some duct tape so they put all the cans together and make a giant a beer snake of cans, but I don't know if they would allow for that. It seems like it would be very dangerous. It would it'd be exciting if they are able to do.
They're already putting up posts.
Your thoughts on I'm trying to think. So next week we'll talk a little bit more about previewing the final game. I don't, so I want to leave a little bit for that show as well, and then it will also be able to talk about what you talk with the coach, and maybe we'll even clip up some of that and maybe show some of that interview on tomorrow next week's show. That could be kind of cool, like a highlight or a snippet of it, and riff off of that. But it's weird that the team that has the worst record of the four teams in the playoffs ends up making it to the finals, Carol. But this team proved, at least last week, and I don't know if it's seeing the same team 2 weeks in a row or what it was, but you can't overlook this other team in the Renegades.
Yeah, you can't overlook them. I'm gonna go check them out. I was scouting Seattle the week before, and that's why I really wasn't worried about Danucci, because he has an arm. He can make some throws, but he makes a lot of dumb mistakes, and I figured he would, and he did, and that played into the defenders' favor. I remember the game against Arlington. They went to overtime, and they won in overtime. But I have to go check it out, which I'll be ready to do, and talk with the coach on Wednesday about the upcoming matchup, get his early thoughts before they get into their game. Well, they already game planning, but before they started implementing the game plan for the upcoming game. So I can't really remember. I know it was like I said, it went to overtime. I can't really remember how the game was when I'm gonna go back and check out the footage. But it's definitely going to be a good game, and definitely would be lovely to have another championship back. If you recall, the Valor Arena Football League, they won a championship the second year of the league of existence, and it'd be fitting for the DC Defenders to win the inaugural season of the XFL 2.0.
It's gonna be interesting. I hope we can just finish the deal. I just don't. We're such a favorite team now. It's very different, than most DC teams ever find themselves in. I've never. I guess the Mystics were kind of favored in some ways because they had kind of the run it back. They almost won it all the year before, and then they ended up winning it. But that's kind of the closest we've gotten to a dominant team making it to the them in this 8-year run, because the Nats were kind of the underdog story. The Caps are a bit of an underdog story that season. I know, I guess in the finals they were favored just because it was against an up-and-coming team, but there was just so much history against the Caps. There's still a lot of question marks if they could finally hoist the cup. But I'm super excited, and I'm just so happy that they were able to put together a dominant performance. And it almost felt like the other team quit halfway through that game in some ways. Not all the way, but I don't know. It was just interesting. They just committed so many penalties on themselves that they just shot themselves in the foot so many times. It was just so undisciplined, I thought. I was just kind of surprised, especially knowing their head coach. Carol, what were some of your thoughts on that?
it happens. Frustration sets in. You're not getting the calls you think you should be getting. You're not executing. Somebody's not, you know, in their position of doing their assignment the right way. I saw a couple of times on some plays where some of their players was just, halfway, giving effort. Like it was a running play. Abram Smith cut to the right. The linebacker pretty much was like jogging in place, watching him run away from him. So I'm not sure, what that is. I was watching the XFL special, 54th Man, and Hines Ward was talking to his team, and he was, he made a valid point. He's like, we're trying to help you, take it to that next level, NFL, player being a pro, but you have high school tendencies. And I'm trying to get you to break those things so you can take it to the next level. But you have NFL talent, but you have high school tendencies that's what's holding you back. And some of them are continuing to do that and wonder why they don't make it into the league. And some of those things are showing up. And, some folks are taking advantage of it and getting good quality stuff on tape. You heard Coach say last week that he has a feeling that Jordan Teamu will probably get picked up by an NFL team for training camp, that he probably won't be the quarterback there next year. And, he took it seriously, did his thing, having a great season, and potentially going to be the, quarterback of the champion of the whole league, which is great to have on your resume, which will, maybe get him an invite to a mini camp or a training camp, and maybe he can get his spot on somebody's NFL roster because he's being a pro, taking it seriously, and going out there and doing his job. And unfortunately, some of these guys don't do those things.
Yeah, I think that it's really cool to see a league where they're getting a lot of second chances. A lot of the players in this league really are thankful for this opportunity, where I feel like some of the NFL pros are just, very cocky and they just take a lot of it for granted. You feel like, some of these guys probably deserve a spot over some of those guys just in their work ethic and their effort they put forth. Champ, what are some of your thoughts?
Cameron Harris. The week prior to this playoff game, he was on the sidelines with no name on his jersey, right? No name on his jersey. He just came in, no name on his jersey. In this playoff game, he scores 2 rushing touchdowns. On his first rushing touchdown, they interviewed him on the sideline, and he simply said, hey, don't sleep on me. A lot of people slept on me. Don't sleep on me. I think this is someone we should not sleep on. The fact that he was able to score 2 rushing touchdowns in short yardage situations, as well as score on a 1-point conversion to really put the game out of reach for Seattle, that should tell you right there that that's a great story right there. That the man went from not having a name on his jersey to being one of the contributing factors to this team going to the championship game and having a chance to be only the second recognized XFL championship team in this league's history. And I think that's a very exciting thing to think about is that, and here's the crazy thing. Prior to being called into DC, he was selling cars for Toyota. He was selling cars for Toyota, and he went from being a Toyota car salesman to being in the XFL championship game after scoring 2 touchdowns in a playoff championship game. That's incredible. I got to give it up to the man. That's incredible.
Yeah, and not only was he doing that, he was doing that 2 weeks ago. It wasn't like it was so far in the past, like this is like what his history is before the season. Like even 3 weeks ago when we were playing, he was still selling cars. So like it's what an amazing story. I love it. I love how much we rely on our defense and the shutdown defense we see in the second half of a lot of these games. And that's exactly what we're going to need. I love watching a DC team that can make second half adjustments, Carol. It's something that, we want to see a lot more in the Commanders. And, we see it here with this team. And their defense and running game first and making the right adjustments on the fly. It's all the things that DC fans want. And it shows that the fans showed out on this game and all the games. And it shows that if the Commanders can get their shit together, there's still fans here of football. And people want to see so much more from that football team. And so I think that there could be some great synergy between the Defenders and the Commanders if the Commanders can find a way to follow some of this blueprint with the defense first and running game and get that all shored up. Because for me, you should be able to root for both of these teams, and I hope that we can see a turnaround of the Commanders and have them emulate some of what we see here with the Defenders.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think you're going to see that this year with the Commanders in the way that they with Coach Bieniemy coming in. It's definitely going to he believes in the run, so I believe you're going to see a more concentrated effort of the run, which is going to open up the pass game. And like I say, with the defense, the way they're building it, it should be plenty of opportunities for the offense, because between turnovers and hopefully getting more 3-and-outs and cutting these long drives down and getting the other team off the field, the offense should have plenty of opportunity to get points and put the opponent in a one-dimensional mind frame of having to throw the ball to catch up, because we've got a 2-touchdown lead on them instead of a 2 field goal lead, which will play into our defense's hands in the front four, which will hopefully get more deflections or sacks, which leads to turnovers. So I see the method to their madness, and I believe they've been watching the defenders. A couple of the players was at the last home game. I believe it was Holmes and it was 2 defensive guys, Holmes, and I can't remember who the other guy was right now, but they were at the game, and I'm hoping they saw it and went back and told the defense, hey, they out there balling and the crowd was loving it. We need to do the same thing for our fans and go out there and play that way. So I think it'll translate to that, and most likely I will be at training camp this year, since Ashburn is right down the street from me now that I'm now a Northern Virginia resident.
So crazy. He went to the dark side. He left Maryland side, but I know Champ probably likes that because you can hang out with him over on
I had to go, Robbie. I couldn't do it no more. I had to go. 45 years,
the last
man.
Maryland person.
45 years, man. 45 years, Robbie. I had to. I'll come back and visit.
Hey, Carol, Hey, Carol, I did it for 37 in DC, so I feel you, player.
Can't do it no more. I gotta go.
I do have to give a little cheers here today. So I celebrate 10 years in this house, and so the studio has been good to me. So I'm pretty happy here in the great state of Maryland. But I do appreciate that you guys both live in Virginia. We'll have to definitely do some barbecues out there for sure this summer.
Oh yeah, definitely. Plenty of room. Of the lab/basement studio is already started to get redone, and yeah, there will be cookouts and there will be some nice interviews and events coming to you live, and you will also be getting some insurance advice coming from CP3, because I am now a licensed agent for New York Life and am a life, health, and annuity agent. So yes, you will be getting some Facebook Lives and some videos talking about life insurance and the benefits to you and your family and your wealth. So stay tuned for that also.
Nice, good. All sorts of facts coming from Carol now.
I've been off the air for too long, Robbie. I got a whole bunch, man. Nice. So yeah, all right. Well, I think that's all we're gonna do for XFL Talk today, because it's run longer than I expected. We've had a couple technical glitches, but it's never a podcast without something happening. But it's
been
all good.
Fun breaking it down with you, Champ. I'm gonna let you go, and then we're gonna have Carol talk a little baseball. But Champ, I do want to have you have your parting shout outs, and also give your talk about what's on the No Spots podcast this week.
Right. So this week on the No Spots podcast, we will be covering the second half of the WWE draft, which is ongoing right now. I'm actually watching Monday Night Raw as we speak. They just finished the fourth round of picks, the final round of picks, and then there'll be picks made after Raw. So myself and Sid will be covering those picks and looking at the effect. Well, they're about to do the final round of picks right now, but we're going to be covering those all that this Saturday, as well as everything that happened this week on Raw. And it's this Friday actually, and we're going to be previewing Backlash, which is this Saturday night. It's going to be live in Puerto Rico, which is going to be the first time since New Year's Revolution in 2005 that the WWE has held a major pay-per-view event in Puerto Rico. So we're going to be previewing that as well. So make sure you check us out, twitch.tv/True No Spots Pod. The audio will be up on sportsochp.com under the Partners Podcast button. And we will be doing a live reactions to Backlash Saturday night on our Twitch channel as well. So make sure you check us out there.
I appreciate you as always. I'm going to give you the fancy shout out today. as well, just so people can follow you easier on the True No Spot Pod. And really appreciate all that you do for us. Champ, congratulations for breaking the 200 podcast barrier in season 5 and being a part of the True Radio Network with us. And we'll definitely talk more XFL next week with you, and hope that you've got a great week ahead.
Absolutely. No quigueño. Sayonara.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. We're going to switch to some baseball talk real quickly. Carol, maybe, I don't know how fast you can go through the games, but maybe an abbreviated one. I don't know. We still have so many things we need to talk about, but you can go as in-depth as you want to go. I'm going to take a 5-minute water break and let you break it down as you want to.
Give me a quick. I messed up. I forgot that we were going to 2-person. Give me a quick second. Let me import the Nats stats real quick so I can have those up. I thought I forgot we were going to be in the 2-person. I did everything else and forgot to bring in the.
But while you do that, Carol, I'll give scoring updates on all the different games that are happening tonight.
Beautiful. Go ahead and do that real quick. Beautiful.
Yeah, you're ready to go, and we'll rock and roll from there. So, as a little bit of a recap, the New Jersey Devils crushed the Rangers 4-0 in a shutout. The Devils, it's been an interesting series. Vitek Vanacek, got benched, and it was interesting. They started Akira Schmid. I don't even know his name. I haven't followed him too closely, but he had 3 wins and 1 loss in this series, and really sealed the deal for them. Vanacek was, had 2 losses to his belt, and so it's been, I don't know, it was a frustrating playoffs for him for sure. But anyway, the New Jersey Devils were able to advance in that. They'll play Carolina. We'll talk a little bit more about them a little bit later. And then in the basketball side of things, it's been an interesting day. There's been 2 of our second round games. The game 1 of the 76ers versus the Celtics. The 76ers won a very close one, 119 to 115. And the other game is currently at halftime with the Suns up over the Nuggets in game 2 of that series, 42 to 40. The Suns are up by 2 points again at halftime. The Suns did lose game 1. This game is in Denver. The Celtics did lose at home in that 119-115 game. And so both games have been close and exciting. Carol, are you ready, or do you want me to talk about some other stuff first?
Oh no, I'm good to go, ready to rock and roll.
All right, go for it. I'm gonna go grab some water and some things real fast, and I'll be right back.
All right, sounds good. About to get into some Nats talk. Quick recap of the week. As we mentioned earlier, they went 3-3, won 2 out of 3 versus the Mets, and won 1 out of 3 versus Pittsburgh. They 4-6 in the last 10. Currently sitting 10-17. Well, now 10-18 with the loss tonight. I'll recap that next week. I didn't get a chance to write those stats down. But let's do a quick recap of the week that was, with the winning the series against the New York Mets, which was their first series against them this year. Last year they went 5-14, so it was good to get a series win against them the first time out, to let them know that it's not the same team from last year. It was a 5-0 win. Was the first game of the series. Solid pitching from the start and from the bullpen. It was a 2-pitcher shutout. Josiah Gray earned his first victory of the year. Finally got some run support. That puts him at 1-4. He went 6 innings, giving up 4 hits, no runs, with 9 strikeouts and 1 walk. Jose Butto took the loss. That dropped him to 0-1. He went 4 2/3, giving up 4 hits, 2 runs, with 1 strikeout and 6 walks. And Mason Thompson earned his first save of the season. He got a 3-inning save. giving up only 1 hit with no runs, with 4 strikeouts and no walks. The top of the second, the Nats got the scoring going with a solo home run. Oh man, I can't even read that handwriting. Jesus. What was that against the Mets? I can't even read what I wrote. That's bad. Solo home run. It was a second. I'm trying to think who that was. I'm drawing a blank and I can't read my handwriting. So we'll move forward. That made it 1-0. Top of the third, Joey Meneses had an RBI single, which made it 2-0. And the top of the sixth, the Nats added on with Luis Garcia with a 2-run RBI double, making it 4-0. And then Meneses came up and got him home with the RBI single, making it 5-0, which was the final score of the game, which was a great way to go into the second game, which was also a victory for the Nats. 4-1 win, which had to put the Mets on a 4-game losing streak, which I believe I saw was the first time in 2 years they had a losing streak that long. And like I said, 4-1 victory. Mackenzie Gore got his 3rd win of the season. I put him at 3-1. He went 6 innings, giving up 4 hits, 1 run with 10 strikeouts and 2 walks. Kodia Jenga took the loss. That drops him to 3-1. He went 5 innings, giving up 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 strikeouts, and 7 strikeouts and 4 walks. And Kyle Finnegan earned his 5th save of the season, going 1 inning, giving up no hits and runs with 2 strikeouts and no walks. Top of the second, Lane Thomas had an RBI single. Then C.J. Abrams had an RBI single also, making it 2-0. Top of the second, Jameer Candelario had a solo home run, his 4th of the season, which made it 3-1. And the top of the 8th, Alex Call had an RBI single, making it 4-1, which was the final score. And the last game of the series, the Nets were looking to sweep, and unfortunately, they came up a little bit short with a 9-8 loss. This game, they were actually down by 3 runs in the top of the 8th, and were able to come back and take the lead, but unfortunately gave up the lead in the bottom of the 8th after they had took the lead and couldn't get over that hump to get another run to tie the 4th extra innings or to hopefully win the game. As I said, it was a 9-8 loss. Brooke Riley earned the victory. That put him at 1-0, his 1st of the season. He went 1 inning, giving a 1 hit, 2 runs with no strikeouts and no walks. Mason Thompson dropped to 2-2. He went an inning and a third of an inning. 3 hits, 2 runs with no strikeouts and no walks. And David Robertson earned the save, his 5th of the season. He went 1 inning, giving up no hits or runs with 2 strikeouts and no walks. Top of the third, Alex Call had a solo home run, his 2nd of the season. That made it 1-1. At the top of the 6th, Luis Garcia had an RBI single, making it closer to it was a 4-2 game. Then Victor Robles had a fielder's choice RBI that made it 4-3. But unfortunately, the Mets tacked on a couple of runs. It made it 7-4. That's then in the top of the 8th, Luis Garcia, 7-3, I'm sorry. And then in the top of the 8th, Luis Garcia had a sacrifice fly, making it 7-4. The Nats then got the bases loaded, and C.J. Abrams hit a grand slam, his 2nd home run of the season, making it 8-7, giving the Nats the lead. But as I mentioned in the bottom of the 8th, the Mets were able to get the go-ahead run on an RBI triple, making it 8-7, and 9-8, which was the final score. And unfortunately, the Nats weren't able to get the sweep, but they won 2 out of 3, which is a good thing, especially when it's against someone in your division. After their matchup with the Mets, they faced the hot Pittsburgh team, and unfortunately, the game got rained out on Friday, so they played a doubleheader on Saturday, and the first game was close. It was a 6-3 loss by the Nats. Unfortunately, the bullpen gave up some walks late in the game and came back to bite them in the butt. It was a close game. They were down 1 run, looking to gain some momentum and get some runs. But unfortunately, the bullpen has been very effective. I believe they had a 1.74 ERA before this game for the start of the season. So like I said, there are some bright spots with the Nats, but some of the glaring issues outweigh the good that you want to see, because there's a lot of issues that need to get taken care of on the offensive end. More selective hitting, more selective pitch selection, and just not trying to do too much. I've seen that already with the start of the season, that some of the players are trying to do more than what they need to do because they're trying to spark the team and get the team going in the right direction. If you just do your job, play your position, and do what you're supposed to do, good things will happen. Rich Hill earned the victory for Pittsburgh. That put him at 3-2. He went 6 1/3, giving up 8 hits, 3 runs. 2 of those earned with 5 strikeouts and no walks. Patrick Corbin dropped to 1-4. He went 5 1/3, giving up 7 hits, 3 runs with 2 strikeouts and 1 walk. And David Bernard earned his 9th save of the season. He went 1 inning, giving up no runs, no hits with no walks with 2 strikeouts. The bottom of the 4th, Riley Adams had a 2-run RBI double, which had tied the game, made it 2-2. And in the bottom of the 6th, Lane Thomas had a ground out RBI, which made it a 4-3 game. But unfortunately, the Nats gave up 2 more runs in the 8th after walking one man, putting them on. And then, like I said, unfortunately, the bullpen faltered for the first time in a long time, being that they've been executing very well. Next game of the doubleheader, which was ugly, 16-1 loss by the Nats. So, yeah, I didn't even watch that game. It got out of hand early, and Pittsburgh pretty much handled their business. Vince Velasquez earned the victory. That puts him at 4-2. He went 6 innings, giving up 5 hits, no runs with 5 strikeouts and no walks. Chad Kuhl took the loss, was dropping to 0-2. He went 3 2/3, giving up 7 hits, 8 runs, 4 strikeouts, and 4 walks. Today he went on the IL with a foot injury apparently in that game. He when he planted, he stepped in Velasquez's plant spot instead of his, and that's what kind of led to his early exit and his ineffectiveness, that he had some type of discomfort. So he got put on the 15-day injured list today. This was a 16-0 game until the bottom of the 9th when Dominique Smith hit his first home run of the season, a solo shot, making it 16-1. And the last game of the series, which was yesterday, the Nats were able to salvage it and not get swept at home. Thank goodness. It was a 7-2 win. Josiah Gray won his 2nd game in a row, actually got run support 2 games in a row that he was starting. That's a great sign because he's been pitching very well, but unfortunately he hasn't been getting any run support. That put him at 2-4. He went 6 innings, giving up 3 hits, 1 run with 6 strikeouts and 3 walks. John Oviendo dropped to 2-2. He went 2 1/3, giving up 9 hits, 7 runs, 1 strikeout and 2 walks. The bottom of the 1st, Candelero had a 2-run RBI double, which made it 2-0. Bottom of the 2nd, Garcia had a 2-run RBI single, which made it 4-0. Joey Meneses then came up and got him home with the RBI single, making it 5-0. And the bottom of the 3rd, Victor Robles had a 2-run RBI double, making 7-1 at that point. And the Pittsburgh Pirates added on 1 run later on in the game to make it a 7-2 final. Nats win 1 out of 3 in the week, 3-3. And on the upcoming schedule, starting tonight, which the game I just mentioned, that they lost 5-1 to the Cubs, have a 4-game series versus the Cubs at Nats Park. Today was a 7:05 start. Tomorrow will be a 7:05 start. Wednesday will be a 7:05 start. And Thursday is a 1:05 start. Then the Nats travel to Arizona for a 3-game weekend set. They first pitch is 9:40 on Friday. Saturday it's an 8:10 first pitch. And Sunday it's a 4:10 start. So hopefully the Nats can try to get back on the winning ways and salvage this week and maybe get another. Well, it's gonna be hard. Can't get 500 week on it with 7 games in the week, but hopefully they can get close to 500, if not above, if they can get hot and beat this Cubs team who just got swept this past weekend themselves. So hopefully tomorrow they have a better outcome and can hopefully get back to winning ways. They're currently 10-18, 8 games under 500 in 5th place in the division, only 9 games back of the division leading Mets.
Holy moly. So somebody in chat. So last week we got a new fan of the show who joined from Facebook and came over to Twitch. And Carol, as you know, it's really hard to get people to move platform to platform. We've tried to do it across lots of different platforms for 8 years. But I really appreciate, he goes by DMV Deadpool and the XFL groups. He's a super fan of the XFL Defenders. And he just told me in chat here on Twitch that he's actually going to the championship game in San Antonio. So if we win that game, I want to bring him on the show and get a first-person account going to that championship game. So if we win, I definitely want to make that happen. I'll reach out to him. He's also on Facebook as well. He said he's just friended you on there in addition, Carol. So that way he can check out the big interview if anyone's catching us late that we're doing. I'm so excited with the coach of the XFL Defenders on Wednesday at 4, and then Carol will have Dugenay on live to also be talking about all the draft stuff as well. We did do a little draft talk earlier and a little XFL talk earlier, but they'll go much more in depth. I want to give a quick scoring update. Phoenix is up 9-48 with Kevin Durant at the line shooting a free throw, and he makes it. So now they're up 50-48 with 8 minutes left to go in the third quarter here. And once again, I'm so sorry. I did find out that this DMV Deadpool, he goes by Houndoom on Twitch, is a Rangers fan. They lost 4-0 tonight, so that's tough. And Davey, thank you for the lurk. But yeah, it's been a wild night, Carol, for a whole lot of teams and a whole lot of things with the podcast. I do want to break down the NBA, the end of the first round, and the NHL real quickly with you. Do you want me to do it where I show stats on screen, or do you just want me to do this a 2-up with you? Which is easier for you, Carol? I can do either of them.
Give me a quick sec. I can pull up the other feed and yeah, you could if you wanted to share the screen and with the stats, that's fine. We should be good to go.
All right, sweet. All right, let me switch a couple of things around real fast. But thank you for all of the baseball talk. I always appreciate your breakdown of the Nats. We're going to start off with the NBA, right? You want to do that one first, and then we'll do the NHL last?
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, so we'll do that real quickly. I'm going to swap a couple of screens around and share this one right here. And I'm going to make Carol a little bigger on my screen. Just give me a second. There we go. Make you a little bit bigger. Carol, can you do me a quick favor?
Yeah.
And just turn off your camera and turn it back on for 1 second. Perfect. Thank you. And we're going to bring up the NBA schedule first. So we're going to go back in time and talk about some of the other games that have happened in all the series leading up to this. So we're not going to break down every single game because we'd be here for forever, but we're going to talk about the series real fast and how the different series went down. So we talked about it before. The 76ers Nets, Philly was that 4-0. There's not a whole lot to talk about. This Bucks Heat one, it was a very interesting series, and with the last game, the Heat winning it in overtime. People did not expect one of these teams to be from this play-in tournament to be able to beat these top teams in the league. And boy, were they wrong. I mean, the Heat, Jimmy Butler was incredible, and I know there were some injuries for the Bucks, but just a really dominant performance by the Heat. For them to go into Milwaukee and win Game 5 in overtime, just by a single bucket, just an incredible performance by them in that one. Well, first of all, Carol, did you watch any of the NBA playoffs at all?
Oh yeah, I watched some of them. I watched the Warriors. I watched some of the series, just flipping channels, just seeing what was going on. But yeah, the Miami Bucks series, that was that I wasn't. I didn't know all the seeding. I didn't know that was a 1-8. Jimmy Butler comes up huge in the playoffs over and over again, and unfortunately, the Bucks, being a top seed, they weren't able to, live up to the potential of what they thought they could do. And I haven't personally heard the soundbite of what Giannis said, but I've heard a lot of people say that what he said was very true and impressive statement. I haven't had a chance to check it out.
It actually is a really cool statement. So it's funny because it created a little bit of controversy online. To basically paraphrase it, he's basically saying that you're not a failure if you don't achieve all of your goals. That these are steps that you can take, towards future success. And I think that's a really good statement. Some people are like, oh, that's good for people that are not professional. But like, if you're professional, like you're the number 1 seed, you're paid to win, blah blah blah. But I think it's a good message for the youth, and I think he said it in a very poised way. And I do suggest people go and read the whole entire quote or watch the press conference if you want the whole thing. But especially after a loss, for him to be that poised and say it, I thought was a really good role model for the future. And it's tough. I mean, they've been recent champion, and but the Heat are a team that's also very good, and they're overlooked a little bit. And they've been on fire, and they had to fight to get in to that final spot, and so exciting for sure. The other series, the Celtics and the Hawks was a really interesting series with the Hawks winning in Game 5 to make it 3-2, and that was kind of surprising because it was in Boston. But then Boston turned around and beat them 128 to 120 in the final game of that series, and so they were able to move on. And then tonight they actually had their first game of the second round, which is where they played the 76ers. And the 76ers won in Boston, and so it'll be interesting to see how that series goes. The next game is on Wednesday at 8 p.m. In that series for Game 2. So going back to the other series that were really interesting. So the Knicks, I thought were
Hey, Robbie, you go ahead and finish breaking that down. I'm gonna run. The beer is calling my name, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, go for it. That's fine. All right. So we got the Knicks and the Cavaliers next. That was kind of a dominant performance by the Knicks in this series. So they were able to win their last game 106-95 and win the series 4-1. They won the previous game 102-93 and won the game before that by 20 points. That was on the game that was on Friday. So it was just an impressive series to win it in that dominant fashion. So I was impressed by the Knicks. I was kind of surprised that they then turned around and lost their game 1 of the series, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. Let's talk about some of these other series. The Nuggets beat the Timberwolves in 5. The Suns beat the Clippers in 5. The Lakers-Grizzlies series was very interesting because there was a lot of smack talk being talked in this series, especially a lot of shade being thrown LeBron's way, and I loved his dominant performance. He becomes the oldest player to score 20 rebounds and get 20 points in the same game. It's only been done a handful of times. It's funny because Giannis actually ended up doing it the next night. But I believe, it's not enough in that series for sure. But the Lakers really had an interesting series here. The Grizzlies were able to win at home Game 5. They forced it back to LA for Game 6. But then the Lakers just dominated it in a very surprising fashion. LeBron put up 22, but D'Angelo Russell put up 31 points, and he was, that spark plug, from the bench, or actually was on the bench, but he's that guard position, and but the bench did pretty well for them as well, and just a dominant performance. They kind of got to sit a lot of their starters, and they still were able to hold the Grizzlies to only 18 points in the fourth quarter. So I was happy for the Lakers that LeBron could prove his dominance, and it was sort of surprising outcome, especially for it to be a 7 seed, another team that was in that play-in tournament and that ends up making it so far. I was just kind of surprising. the game one between the Lakers and the Warriors will be 10 p.m. tomorrow for the next one. That was an interesting series too. The Warriors and the Kings. I know, Carol, you were rooting for the Kings a bit in this series, if I remember.
Yeah, I actually checked out the analysis pre series, and they said it was going to be an interesting series, but they were favoring the Kings, and after the Warriors went down, they were saying they only won 11 road games, and when they went down 2-0, they didn't give them any go at being able to, sustain and win this series. And what was the guy? Fox, he's definitely a baller. I didn't like the fact that they were giving him the benefit of the cause. Like, he was pulling the James Harden, throw his head back, going to the lane with minimal contact. And they were calling him, and Robbie, I just got the update. It is my internet that's causing the issue. I just got the alert, so I'll be addressing that, stepping up my Wi-Fi game shortly. But
yeah,
it was
it was all new growing pains with the new lab, but I'm excited.
Yeah, we just started. We just started today, and bigger and better things. I'm in a different spot. Like I say, you're gonna see different things. I was trying to do the 2-camera setup. That's why we had some difficulties. Overworked my processor, and that's why we having some lag. But all in all, it was a great series. I missed, unfortunately, Steph's 50-point effort yesterday. I saw that it's the first time in NBA history that a player scored 50 in a Game 7. And I believe he tied the record for most threes in a Game 7 also with 23. So anybody that has questions about Steph and how quality he is, and if he's MVP, and if he's one of the top players to ever play the game, with the records he's already broken, with the championships he's already won. I mean, I think this performance with him putting the team on his back, with his, Clay didn't have a good shooting game. What's the guy's name? Not Moody. The power forward, the center that really didn't score. He had a double. I think he had a double set, 11 points, 21 rebounds. Excuse me. We all go back to the Draymond Green incident, which I never really spoke on, but a lot of folks have, and I guess Joy Taylor said it the best. When you grab a grown man's ankle when he's trying to run down court, you're going to get stepped on. So, I mean, I didn't feel it was justified for him to be put out for the next game. I didn't feel for him justified to be ejected, because it ain't like he did it on purpose. Ain't like he, just decided to step on the man's chest. He grabbed his ankle while he was turning and trying to run up court, and he lost his balance and stepped on his chest trying not to fall. I mean, I don't know what else you would do or what else you would say, but all in all, I think it's going to be an interesting series against the Lakers, because they definitely balling. AB looking healthy, and he played very well in that closeout game against Memphis. He dominated. I had a nice parlay going, but it was a blowout, and I needed more rank to score 25, and yeah, it just didn't happen. I was a little upset. I was hoping for a closer game so I could win some money off of it, but unfortunately it didn't turn out that way. But I'm interested to see how this series is going to go. I believe isn't this the first time that Steph and LeBron have gone against each other in the playoffs?
I think that might actually be right. I can't remember. Maybe they must have. I don't know. Oh wait, didn't they? I don't remember. Was there a finals that was?
I mean, they played Cleveland in the finals, but I don't know if LeBron was still on the team when they played them. I can't really. I'm not a big b-ball fan, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a good question. We're gonna look it up right now. LeBron, Steph Curry, head-to-head.
That's definitely going to be an interesting series.
Yeah.
The Lakers definitely was playing some good ball. That D'Angelo Russell kid, he put up some points, but he made some bonehead plays in that Game 7. Luckily, he was able to score enough to mitigate his bonehead plays. But I can say I'll probably be tuned in to see because, I mean, Steph, that dude is just, I mean, he said what they said he had 20, 24, 22 points in the paint out of that 50. I'm like, for a shooting guard his size to go in the paint and putting up that's that's amazing. And he put up an amazing effort yesterday.
Yeah. Hold on, let me reshare the screen. I accidentally went out of that. Sorry. Right, there it is. Sorry. I was trying to look it up. I can't find. I don't know why I thought that Cleveland played Golden State Warriors for a championship one year, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Now Cleveland won. I don't know if that was that might have been the year. That must have been the year LeBron was there because I think Cleveland won. That's the one that they didn't win. So that might have been the squad that LeBron was on.
Yeah. Now I want to know, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. If Davey's in chat, I know that he would know the answer to that question. But he said the Kings had no chance. Well, yeah, they already lost for sure. Oh, he's saying he's driving, so I can't. But I appreciate the work as well. So, all right. The other games in this first round or in this conference finals, we got the Heat versus the Knicks. The Heat won the first game in that one. The Knicks had a 32-21 lead in the first. The Heat were able to dominate the second and the third, and it was a pretty close fourth. But by that point, the Heat ended up winning by 7 points. But it was a back and forth affair. RJ Barrett was a leading scorer, and also Jalen Brunson for the Knicks. But the Heat, Jimmy Butler has just been playing amazing. And so game 2 of that will be tomorrow at 7:30. We talked about it before. The 76ers just eked out a win tonight over the Celtics, 119 to 115. And
you gotta mention Jimmy Butler's ankle.
I mean, did he hurt it again?
Yeah, I think he hurt it again in this game, and there's question marks about how healthy his ankle's going to be for game 2.
See, Carol, I guess I'm skeptical because he's been questionable in a lot of games, and then he puts up like 25, 30 points. I just don't know. I don't know if they're just trying to play head games with people.
Well,
I mean, I believe.
I saw the clip, and I think he came down on somebody else's ankle. Well, on an ankle that's already bad. So I think that's what the concern.
Yeah, I believe that it's real, and I believe that there's a concern about it. But it's just all I know is he keeps on showing up, and he keeps on balling out. So until I actually see them not playing, I don't know if what I believe in anymore. So it's been an interesting playoffs for him for sure. So yeah, it'll be an exciting week coming up in the NBA again. We'll see how this Lakers Warriors series goes, as well as how this Nuggets Suns series goes. We're watching right now that game, and I'll give a scoring update in a few minutes about that. But yeah, it's been a really interesting NBA playoffs. Any final thoughts, Carol, before I switch gears and do the NHL playoff?
No, let's go ahead and wrap it up and hit the NHL because we finally got our matchups for the Eastern and Western second round now.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, let me hide some of these graphics. All right, there we go. I'm not going to share this one because I'm going to just talk about it live on my screen here. Hold on a second. I'm just going to pull it up. So the bracket was pretty interesting in the hockey. Carol, have you watched any of these playoffs?
Yeah, I've been watching some of the games, just like with the NBA. I've been flipping and checking them out.
Yeah, so I can't believe Florida was able to beat Boston. That's obviously the biggest story to talk about. They won that series 4-3 in an exciting Game 7 in which they were winning for a while. Then Boston had a dominant third period, scoring 2 goals. And it looked like they had it won. And Florida scores with like a minute left in the game, Carol, and they ended up winning it in overtime and just stunning Boston. And it's hard because some Caps are like fans like, don't treat Boston too badly. We remember how it feels in 2010, but it's also like kind of a celebration for Caps fans because at that point we were the only team who's ever won the President's Trophy and gone up 3-1 and lost ever. And now there's two teams that have done it. So, I appreciate that we're not the only dubious person anymore. But what Boston, our season was still one of the best goal scoring, and 2010 team was really dominant for Washington. But this Boston team has more wins than them, and the most wins ever. And for them to do it, they're up 3-1. I think might even be a bigger choke in a lot of ways. Any thoughts on Boston going down?
Yes, I was actually watching that game. I saw it was in overtime. I turned it on, and I was rooting for Florida just for those reasons. For one, because Boston broke all the records, and they were the number one, team that was supposed to win the cup. For one, I don't like Boston. For two, Brad Marchand. For three, Brad Marchand. Four, Brad Marchand. Five, Pasternak. And it was a joy to watch those arrogant, sucky Boston fans have to sit there and watch Florida celebrate on home ice, watching Boston have to go.
I'm so happy that Carly went to sleep already. That makes me happy that she doesn't have to hear that whole.
I'm sorry.
A little hard.
That little rat, I cannot stand that dude, man. I hate that. If I see him walking down the street, I might actually trip him up, man. And then go lick him just because he licked the stick.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, Brad Marchand is the biggest pest ever in the hockey league, and he licks people. He does things to get him under the chin, and to watch him crying at the end brought a lot of other hockey fans a ton of joy, including Carol. I'm happy with how that game, the result. The other side of that bracket, and sort of the surprising one. Toronto, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's been champions for the last 3 years. Been out there. I guess they lost to the Avalanche, but they've been right there for all these years, right? So many. They have the best goalie, and Toronto 11 times in a row have an opportunity to knock out another team, and they can never do it, Carol. 11 times in a row they can knock out another team, and you can't do it. And they haven't done it for 19 years, and I'm a huge Steve Dangle podcast fan, and I know that that's my reason that I wanted to start doing a hockey podcast is I watched him 10 years ago, and I still watch him every night talk about the Leafs. He's like my inspiration for our hockey segment. And for him to finally get a win, Carol, in a series, he's done it 17 years. He's been doing it on YouTube since 2007. And he's never gotten to watch his team win. And so many times, 11 times, they had an opportunity to move on and didn't. And so just for him, I'm so happy that they finally did it. But what are your thoughts on that series?
If you're watching, I'm sitting here shaking my head. The reason why I'm shaking my head is because last week I said that I felt like Toronto was going to be able to overtake Tampa Bay. And I was on FanDuel the day before, and I forgot to place my bet. So, yes, I am happy for Toronto, but I am mad for my pockets because I could have had some extra cash for my lady's birthday tomorrow. And I'm upset that I don't now because I forgot to place the bet. But it was good to see Toronto finally get over that hurdle. I think they're going to, use that as a catapult to go further. Not so much, but it was good to see them find a way to get over the hump. Tampa Bay, like you mentioned, has been, in the running for the Stanley Cup and have won the Stanley Cup through the last 5-6 years. So they've played a lot of hockey, like I mentioned last week. And, it was good to see Toronto be able to, put them away because, you play that much hockey, eventually, your body's going to get tired. And they've played a lot of hockey games in the last few years. And, it was good to see Toronto finally be able to get off that curse, like you say, 11 times, being able to close out a series and not be able to do it. Could it catapult them to the next level? It's hockey. Anything's possible in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Do I think it's going to happen? No. Would I be surprised if it happened? Yes. Would I be happy? Yeah, I think I'd be, that'd be cool for, if Toronto could do it. Do I see it happening? No. But it'd be cool to watch if it did.
Who do you have, Carol, between Toronto and Florida? It's interesting they had to now go through both Florida teams, and I saw some posts that people were like upset because Florida's like, we're not going to allow for people to uh, uh, we're not going to allow for any buy tickets from Canada in Florida. And people were like outraged by that. But we used to do that shit to Pittsburgh all the time. Be like, no one from Pittsburgh zip code can buy tickets on Capitals official site. It's like everybody does it. But it was just funny because it became a headline. Like every season, it's always a headline of teams doing it. But people will buy them on resale market, of course. But it'll be interesting. What are your thoughts on that series? Because Florida for the last couple of seasons have been like knocking on that door. They've been pretty good, and now they got some momentum. Playing with house money. What are your thoughts?
I think Florida, their defensive style and their ability, they can score with Toronto, but I feel like their defense is going to slow them down, like we saw Tampa Bay be able to do by taking away time and space. And I think Florida has a more steady and strategic defensive plan that I think that'll be able to slow them down enough, and they will have enough firepower that they can score. And when they get a lead, they're hard to score against. And I think that it's going to be a good series. I think Toronto's going to give us some go, but I think it'll be done in 6.
Yeah, I don't know. It's such a tough series because Toronto now, they really want to have a taste of victory finally, but Florida, it's gonna be a really great matchup. I'm excited to see Steve Dangle's reactions, every night. I'm just happy to get more of him because I have to give him credit because the year the Caps won the Cup, he actually did a special where he broke down all the Caps games because he was just breaking down the Cup final games, and I loved it because he's always just broken down Toronto. And so to hear him break down the Caps and get to do it for our victory and stuff like that, I'll always remember that. And so for his sake, I have a lot of friends that like Toronto. I hope that they're able to pull it out. But it'll be an interesting series for sure. All right, let's move on to the next one. So it's going to be Carolina took care of business against the Islanders. We just watched the Devils be able to beat the Rangers, which they were the better team all season, but it took them until Game 7 to prove it. What are your thoughts on Carolina versus the Devils here?
I'm going with Carolina. They're cream of the crop. Can score, play solid defense, physical, solid special teams. We saw the Devils have issues with the Rangers in the beginning of the series, slowing them down, clogging the neutral zone. We know that they like to fly up and down the ice and shoot a lot of pucks from every angle, from any angle. But Carolina is very solid in between the blue lines. So the neutral zone, they definitely want to have clogged up. And I don't see a lot of free-flowing passes and free-flowing drop passes from New Jersey in this series. I think this one actually be over in 5.
Yeah. I think so too. And I kind of want to get Daddy Fat Guy on tonight, a big Carolina fan. I want to get his thoughts on that one. But I know he can't join us tonight, but maybe in the next couple of weeks we'll have him back on and give the Carolina perspective. I also want to get Davey on the show to get his NBA perspective in a couple episodes as well. We just knew that it was going to be a busy night, and it's already been going super late. So I appreciate Carol for this. We go next to the Colorado-Seattle one, which I thought was super interesting. I couldn't believe that the Kraken were able to do it. I mean, they were able to score 2 goals in the second period, and that held up. And they got a power play goal. The Avalanche did in the final minute of the second period that I thought would give them some momentum going into the third. But Seattle was able to, slam the door. And I'm so happy for Philip Grubauer, right? Because he kind of, in our series when we had him in the playoffs, we had him in the first couple of games, and he wasn't able to get it done, and we switched to Holtby, and obviously the rest is history. But I've always wished him well, and for him and Sammy to both make it to the second round this year, it makes me really consider that when we had good goalie coaches in Mitch Corin, we were a better team, Carol. And I feel like the last couple of years we may have wasted some good talent, and we need to up our defense and get a better goalie coach because those I think are the big differences between now and 2018. And some of these players I think we let go, like Grubauer, could have been good for us if we had the right coaches and kept them long term. What are some of the thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, at that time, the goalie room was already crowded. They had draft prospects they had to get up. And, the best thing they could do was let them go to the expansion draft. So that's the one glitch of having quality players on your team. You can't play them all and you can't give them all the opportunities. And sometimes you do lose the quality ones, but, that's unfortunately part of the business. It's an unfortunate situation, but that's a good thing because that means you have time to players. But it's a bad thing because you might have let one get away that could have been a stopgap.
Yeah, we didn't lose him to the draft. We actually ended up trading him the year before because we knew we were probably going to need to. So he ended up going to the Avalanche the year before they won the cup, and then he got poached from them, I believe, and that's how the expansion draft got it the next year. So it was interesting, like playing, chess and having to think 3D chess, knowing that was happening 2 years later, right? So
yeah. I mean, now with the expansion teams, we saw with Vegas when they played the Caps. First year in, made it all the way to the finals. Now the expansion draft isn't like it was back in the old days where you're getting the bottom of the barrel players, and it's going to take you 5-10 years to get, like with the Capitals, to get your first, winning season. These players that's getting picked up are talented because of the talent along the league and salary cap issues and stuff like that. So they're getting a lot more talented players, and some of them they have a chip on their shoulder for being in the expansion draft, and they get a quality coach that old school coach that knows how to coach and implement systems and develop talent. And so it's not really a big surprise because then you got to look at Colorado also. They lost a lot of key players. They had a lot of injuries to the key players that were still there in the playoffs, and that's the perfect recipe for an upset.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So I was seeing this tweet here by @BigHeadHockey. So the last 15 years, the Avalanche, the Lightning, the Blues, Caps, Penguins, Blackhawks, Kings, Bruins, Red Wings, and Ducks have all won it, right?
Mm-hmm.
None of those teams are in the playoffs at this point. So it's all new teams. The only team that's won it since 2004 is Carolina. And so, it's just interesting how much new blood. You got both expansion teams in, with Seattle winning that one. Dallas was able to take care of Minnesota. I like that they were able to do it in Minnesota and not have to force a game 7 in that one. So Seattle will play at Dallas tomorrow at 9:30. That's going to be a really interesting series. What are some of your thoughts on that one?
I'm going with Dallas just because of their solid defense. Like you said, they were able to beat Minnesota in Minnesota. Once they get a lead, they lock things down. Their whole game changes, and they make you fight 200 feet to try to get that tying goal or that goal to get the momentum back to try to get back in the game. They have a good ability to score, solid on special teams, and I just think that they're ready to put this Kraken team down. I think it'll go 6.
I'm asking Davey in chat because I think he's returned. Davey, if you're still in chat, let us know how often has Steph Curry ever played LeBron in the playoffs? I know that you're a pretty big stat and sports guy, and I was trying to figure out how many times it's happened. We know that it happened in the bubble and the play-in, and I was trying to figure that out. Welcome, Big Bell Henday. More. Bill, I think, is actually checking in from Europe, if I remember correctly. So we've got people all over the world checking in, Carol. And we still have, a ton of people left over from the raid all watching. So I really appreciate everyone for tuning in for our hockey coverage. But Bill, you might know the answer to this too. Do you know how many times Steph Curry has played LeBron in the playoffs? I'm trying to figure that out. That was an earlier question. And he's in Sicily, in Italy. So we're talking a little hockey. He's originally from Texas, I believe. And so we're talking about the Stars and Seattle. And so, yeah, I agree. I think Dallas's defense is going to be dominant. Oh, wow. To give you an idea, this is the first time the Lakers have played the Warriors since 1991. Right, but did LeBron play on Cleveland when they played Golden State, or was LeBron already off that team? So, interesting. And so any means before that had to be in the finals. He did once around 2016. Interesting. And maybe 2017. Yeah, 2 years, maybe 3 or 4. Interesting. Four, maybe this might be 5 times that he's played against him. Okay, so now, interesting. All right. We're still trying to figure it out. It's funny because I tried looking it up in a quick Google search, but I couldn't figure it out. Yeah, Cleveland against Golden State 2016 was one. Yeah, I thought that they played each other in 2016. We actually covered that, Carol, on the podcast. Remember, that was the first NBA playoff final we covered.
You know, my camera was off, and I was doing some mid-show relaxation techniques, I'll say.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was good. That we were able to get that win, and because that was the comeback year, if I remember correctly, and you guys covering that. All right, last 2 series ago, Golden Knights crushed the Jets 4-1. They're the number 1 seed. They're one of the few really top seed dominant teams left. Edmonton and Carolina, and then Edmonton against LA Kings. Davey is a Kings fan. Kings gave Edmonton a run for their money for a lot of the series, but Edmonton was able to win the series in the end. Carol, did you watch either of the Knights Jets series or the Kings Oilers series?
I didn't really get to check out the Knights series. I was definitely watching the Edmonton series. I was impressed with the Kings, the way they were able to pretty much keep McDavid off the score sheet for the first 3 games. But that offense, and they were able to, play some solid defense, and they were playing pretty physical for a team that's, fast and about scoring. They were going in on the forecheck and causing turnovers and wreaking havoc. And it was I'm not gonna say it was a shock, but to see them be able to put the Kings away, an older, more steady, more physical team, that was unexpected to see them be able to do that. But I think that give them some momentum going into the next series. You said they're playing Vegas. I haven't really got a chance to check out Vegas too closely, so I think it's going to be a good. I think that one might go 7, just because.
Yeah, I think it's going to go maybe 6. I think Vegas is going to win it in 6. And Houndoom thinks the Knights in 5. Davey, I don't know. Did you check out any of that Kings Edmonton? Davey, let us know in chat if you did. But I so want a Toronto Edmonton final just because I would like the cup to go to Canada 1 year. I know it seems sacrilegious, but Canada's wanted the cup for so long, and those 2 teams are so iconic, and it would just be a really kind of a cool moment for hockey, even as a bystander. And the people of Canada would go nuts for it. It'd be a horrible ratings in the United States, but I would watch it because I think it would actually be highly entertaining between 2 dynamic teams. But I don't know if it's going to happen. But I'm definitely rooting for Edmonton over the Golden Knights. But I think the Golden Knights will win it 6. And Houndoom says he follows the Knights. Interesting. You have an interesting fandoms, like the Rangers, and you follow the Knights. Because he was talking about how sad he was earlier. So Carol, you thought, what was it? What did you think it was going to be?
I think it was going to be Golden Knights in 7.
7, yeah. So he says he follows the Knights since he's also a Raiders fan. Interesting. All right. All right, well, that's kind of all the matchups. I think we've broken them all down. Just talk about the schedule. I think I don't have a time on this one. Hold on, let me pull up the NHL app. But any other thoughts on hockey while I pull up the final scoreboard?
Nah, it's been as always a great, playoffs, good hockey. We had some overtime games. We had some, stellar performances, some defensive performances. So it's been another good Stanley Cup run, man, as always. It's just unfortunate the Capitals aren't in it.
Yeah, I was going to talk. Yeah, I know. It's hard for that purpose, but there's been some good hockey still. So Tuesday is Florida Panthers are playing at the Toronto Maple Leafs at 7 on ESPN, and then 9:30 is the Kraken at the Stars. On Wednesday, it's Devils at Hurricanes at 7 on ESPN. 9:30 is the Edmonton Oilers at the Vegas Golden Knights. And then Thursday, it's Panthers at Toronto Maple Leafs. That's on TNT. And then Seattle Kraken at the Dallas Stars, also on TNT at 9:30. Friday, it's back to the Oilers Kings series. And then New Jersey Devils, Carolina Hurricanes. So the times, I think, are to be determined for the Friday games still. So we'll see how this goes. And next week, we'll break down all those series, and we may even have a special guest or two to talk about it. But Carol, it's been fun. We got to celebrate. It's just midnight now. Episode 308 has run quite long, but I appreciate everyone for tuning in on the Facebook side. I'll definitely be doing a couple-minute post podcast show on my end on the Twitch feed. Carol, I assume you're just going to shut it down.
Yes, sir. I'm just shutting it down, calling it a night. I overworked my processing, got to figure out some things with the new lab. I have to figure out a more powerful processor for what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I can talk you through some of that offline for sure. But thank you everybody for tuning in on Facebook and the audio podcast. We're going to end the audio podcast there, but Carol, why don't you give our final send off for that?
All right, as always, appreciate you guys tuning in, checking us out in season 7, year 8. Another great season underway. We got football, basketball, hockey, baseball. So we got our off-season commander special on Wednesday at 4 o'clock with special guest, head coach of the XFL North champion DC Defenders, Coach Reggie Barlow at 4 o'clock, Zoom interview. So if you have any questions, comments, anything you want me to shout out to the coach, feel free to inbox me or Robbie. Yeah, give them to me, and we'll make sure we get those questions to the coach and see what you got to say and see what answers he gives you. So be sure to tune in. As always, DC Sports Without the Politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. CP3, live from the lab 3.0. Robbie G, and we out.